With the sunlight behind it, Tarrah Aroonsakool's massive suspended maze grows white and nearly translucent. A closer look reveals all sorts of strange, found objects affixed to the white panels. There's tea bags, there's dried ramen noodles, there's human hair. But from afar, it looks ethereal and delicate.
I wanted to build an interactive maze. I think that's something that I've learned since I was in high school is given a canvas or any space is to take as much of it as possible and create as much of it as possible.
The maze takes up plenty of space at the Athenaeum Art Center in Logan Heights, and that crisp, delicate white material is mostly toilet seat covers and tissue. The objects woven into and stuck to the maze represent assimilation, particularly for Asian immigrants and their families, and the balance they have to strike between pursuing a fragile, misleading American dream and hanging on to pieces of home. Aroonsakool wants visitors to experience the unsettling conflict and disorientation of assimilation within the maze. And food is an undeniable part of the immigrant experience, anchoring families to both old and new lands. Food also serves to bring the art to a level that's easier to understand.
I think that food is something that everyone can relate to.
It's all over the maze.
There's like some Lay's chips here that have it's Thai Lay's chips, and it's things that we can identify with, but there's a lot of influence of every culture, in every culture, I think. Nothing comes from nowhere.
Aroonsakool wanted the maze to speak to how susceptible American society is to racism in her own experience as a first-generation Thai Lao American.
Essentially, it's about structural racism, and personally speaking from my experience is the assimilation of Asian culture into white American society and what that means for each narrative. And so each sheet in this maze kind of represents that.
As visitors make their way through the maze, they'll see more prominent tufts of hair and even plastic cockroaches. Aroonsakool wanted to explore how anti-Blackness has historically thrived in Asian American communities. She knew this could mean a ramped-up sense of discomfort.
The hair you see here is sort of, I think it represents a lot of different things in different cultures, but I definitely think that hair is something that we all try to maintain in some certain way. So that kind of represents the anti-Blackness too, is like something that we always have to check ourselves on.
Tucked away within the maze are some altar-like groupings. There's loose white rice and sculptures on the floor, with suspended sculptures hanging above them. These groupings were inspired by the formation of rock in caves and the way minerals are redeposited, and they interrupt the flow of the maze.
Structural racism sort of goes unseen unless you're confronted with it directly or affected by it.
Aroonsakool shares a North Park studio space with a handful of other artists. There, works in progress hang alongside previous sculptures, like a life-size pig carcass constructed from paper. Her studio is tidy but bursting with creativity and color. When asked how she knows her work is complete, she reflects on the process of making the maze panel by panel, 48 giant panels in total.
When it's done, it'll tell me, because if I just keep on working on one the whole time, I will never be done with it.
Christopher Padilla manages the Athenaeum Art Center gallery and curated the exhibition. He said that Aroonsakool's art is both alluring and in your face.
It was nice to be able to bring it in here and just blow it up to a scale where you are forced as a viewer to essentially walk through a massive piece.
As unsettling as some of the installation is, the beauty in Aroonsakool's work is not unintentional, and it's not beside the point.
I think that a lot of people need things to be sort of picturesque so they could digest it a little bit more. And I think my purpose of this installation is so people could be engulfed and feel comfortable enough. Like I said, I use household items, so people would be more open-minded to step in.
Julia Dixon Evans, KPBS News.